Recording in
animation,
progress.
video games, pretty much anything but audiobooks, because I don't have the mental capacity for that. But yeah, pretty much do everything.
Audiobook is a difficult one.
Yes, that I did one. It was only a 2-hour audiobook, and that determined that I will never touch audiobooks ever again.
Wow. Okay, so how did your VO journey begin?
So I was sitting on the couch one day, and I saw a Geico commercial. So here in the United States, if you're not familiar with Geico, that's an insurance company. And so Don LaFontaine, who was a huge trailer voice actor here in the United States, he was narrating her life in the commercial. And so it was very, super epic and everything. And so seeing a voice actor for the first time really was like, wow, that's amazing to me. And so I was like, I have to do that. Because I've always been creative, but never knew which direction to take it. So I found a school that taught how to read for voiceover. And yeah, been doing it ever since.
Wow. So for how long now? How many years?
So this year will be 11 years.
11 years.
Yeah, so it's I've been bumping my head along the way the entire way. Still coaching, still learning the business, still trying to improve in every way I can, and trying to help others as well.
Oh, okay. So now let's talk about script interpretation.
Yeah.
When you see a script for the first time, what's your process like?
So I kind of look over everything first just to see, okay, what company am I even doing, right? Because I know certain voice actors won't voice for certain companies just because they don't agree with messes with their morals or the product or whatever, right? If they don't believe in the product, they won't do it. So first I look, okay, what is the product or the service or the business that I'm doing? Then I go through and I look at the specs and the direction. Is it something that I can even do? For example, if I see an audition and it says a certain celebrity that they want you to sound similar to, and it's not me, I just completely delete it. I don't even read the script. So for example, there's a celebrity here, and his name is Sam Elliott, and he's an older gentleman, super real deep voice into the chest. And I know I could never sound like that. And so if I see his name, I just go ahead and delete it. But if it's something that I can do, I'll go through, read the specs and the direction, and then read the entire script and try to figure out, okay, what tone are they looking for? Is this something exciting and upbeat? Is this something down and quiet, conversational? Because conversational could be 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 different ways. So my thing is, if it's conversational, what aspect of conversational are they looking for? And then many have seen the emotional wheel, right? Is this an excited part of the read? Is the whole thing excited? Is it not? So then I kind of try to break it down, and then a lot of times we'll get, not a lot of times, sometimes we'll get what's happening in the video in text, which is really nice. And you'll see an example of that today. And so then I look at that and I try to play the commercial in my head, and then I can say, okay, this is what's happening. I need to react to this or not react to it, depending on the direction. And then we just go from there, do a couple of takes. I'll listen to it. Sometimes I'm like, no. Like if I don't believe it, it's gone. Because if I don't believe it, I know the casting director is not going to believe it, and I know the person watching the commercial is not going to believe it.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing, is listening back to it. And sometimes I'll step outside of the booth for 20, 30, 40 minutes, maybe in a day, and then come back and listen to it again. And if I still don't believe it, I throw it out.
Wow. Interesting. So let's move into the recording.
Yeah.
What gear are you working with today?
So this was not always my first mic. So this is a Sphere LX from Universal Audio. And the reason I like it so much is because many times You hear voice actors using a 46, like a Sennheiser MKH 416. You hear them using a Neumann TLM 103, a Neumann U87, all of these big, expensive microphones. Well, the great thing about the Sphere LX is that it models the sounds of all of those microphones, plus some. So there's two kinds. There's the LX and then the DLX. The DLX has more microphones on it, but all I cared about was those three main ones. So I can make it sound like a 416, I can make it sound like a TLM 103, or I can make it sound like a U87. And I use each of those differently. So if I'm doing commercials, I'll do a 416. If I'm doing animation, I'll do a U87. Narration, sometimes I do a TLM 103. But this is my pride and joy. This is my workhorse. My very first microphone was a Rode NT1A. And that was a good one. I like that one.
That was a good one.
But yeah.
Good one.
So here today, I'm in a whisper room type booth here. I've got my bass traps in front of me and behind me as well. Yeah. And then today I'm on a Mac, as you can probably see. And our DAW, or our digital audio workstation, will be Twisted Wave. A lot of people don't know or are not familiar with Twisted Wave.
I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, so a lot of people have heard of Audacity because that's free. They've heard of Adobe Audition or Pro Tools. Well, this one is, I would say, if Pro Tools is a Ferrari, this is the Toyota Corolla, right? It works, and I don't need all the bells and whistles because I'm not an audio engineer, so I don't touch the audio very much, and we'll actually go through exactly my process of editing. But I do very, very, very little, so the engineers can do and put their magic on it.
Awesome. So well. So how do you warm up and prep before you hit record?
Many times I don't. I know if it's an early session, because I don't start recording till late morning, like 10:30, 11. So I've been up already. I've had my water, that kind of thing. Sometimes if it's an early morning session, I'll do a low hum, like, and try to bring it down, into my chest, just to get my vocal cords warmed up, get them going. But yeah, I don't really do the a lot of people that, sometimes they'll do certain vocal exercises. I don't really do all that. I just go on and get into it. Now, if I know that my voice is not warmed up, I'll wait later in the day until it is warmed up.
Okay, so let's get into it. Can you demonstrate how you usually record your first take?
Yeah, so do you mind if I share my screen?
Yes, please do.
All right, so this was a spot that I worked on earlier last year. This is for Active Pest Control. And so I pulled this from the email. So this is what I'm looking at, right? So the first thing I look at is the specs and the direction, and then look at specific words that kind of give me a tip on what they're looking for, right? So we're looking for a male that is relaxed, right? So that'll give you a huge thing. So you're not going to be way out here, with a touch of eccentricity. So he's going to be a little weird, right? Conversational, right? If we had $1 for every time we heard conversational, we'd be millionaires. So conversational and meandering. So he's just kind of talking to himself, right? With a knack of turning everyday observations into whimsical anecdotes or just fanciful stories. So he's really not outside of his own head. Really, he's all talking to himself, right? Or maybe he is talking to somebody, right? That's two different takes right there. So we could do that. And then think of somebody who can make you laugh, think, and feel at ease. Think Cliff Cash. I didn't know who that was. I had to look it up. We're open to American regional accents. So we've got a lot to work with a few amount of words. So we've got relaxed, I never can say that word, eccentricity. There we go. Meandering, whimsical anecdotes. right? So what I would look at that is, okay, now that I know, I look at Aptive, right? What I had no idea what Aptive was, so then I go online, look up Aptive. I find out, okay, I've seen, do they have other spots that they've done before? What did they sound like? Then I'll come back to the script. Here's another one. Laid back hammock. Okay, so now I know I'm a character. And what am I? I'm laid back. Obviously. I mean, it's kind of like a play on words. He's obviously laying back, but he's just chill, relaxed. So then we go, and then I read the script. Okay, hear that? Oh, we need a quick beat pause there. Nothing. Not even a mosquito in sight. I used to be a battleground of bug bites and mosquito karate. But now, since after pest control came, it's all gone. No buzzing, just peace. Here's another clue on how it should be read. You have another piece, or another beat right here. It's easy to get started, and Aptive protects your home from the inside and out too. So you've got more time for what you love. Like softly swaying, or if you live with kids. And then here is the visual. A young guy comes and lays on the hammock and starts rocking wildly. Hence the we. Right? So this is another clue that we need to pick up. Starts rocking wildly. Okay? Now, it says, or if you live with kids. Right? So if you think about if a kid is on a hammock, what are they going to do? They're going to have fun with it. They're going to be going back and forth and swinging and all kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And then if we look at our end card, this is usually going to be a slight change from the conversational to now you're providing clear information. A pest-free journey starts at 1995. Offer ends May 31st. Call Aptive Pest Control, yada, yada, yada. Okay? So after I look at that, I say, okay, let me come over to my DAW. This is Twisted Wave, and we'll just give an audition and see how it goes. Hear that? Nothing. Not even a mosquito in sight. I used to be a battleground of bug bites and mosquito karate. But now, since Aptive Pest Control came, it's all gone. No buzzing, just peace. It's easy to get started, and Aptive protects your home inside and out too. So you've got more time for what you love, like softly swaying, or if you live with kids, whee! And then obviously I would turn that down because we're going to peak.
Yeah, yeah.
A pest-free journey starts at 1995. Offer ends May 31st. Call Aptive Pest Control, 855, and then I'd say the number. So I'd go through... I'd listen to it again. I said, okay, but we're completely missing the this part, right? We're missing this word. We kind of were meandering. We were relaxed, but I think we can go even further. So then, okay, so this was kind of just an upbeat take. It was just kind of plain, right? So then that I would probably delete. Because I think we can do better, right? So it's not quite as eccentric. And so this word, karate, I think we can play with. So let's do another take. And let's make it a little bit more fun. Hear that? Nothing. Not even a mosquito in sight. I used to be a battleground of bug bites and mosquito karate. But now, since Aptive Pest Control came, it's all gone. No buzzing, just peace. It's easy to get started, and Aptive Pest Control protects your home inside and out too. So you've got more time for what you love, like softly swaying, or if you live with kids, whee!
Awesome.
A pest-free journey starts at 1995. Offer ends May 31st. Call Aptive Pest Control. So now you can see the difference, right? Huge difference. We were able to be a little bit more eccentric, right? And the part where I said mosquito karate, they said that's what booked it.
Because, wow.
And I was like, really? Nothing else? They go, so as soon as we heard that, we knew you're the guy. Because they were looking for that touch of eccentricity, right? You got to be a little out there. And here's another one with the specs, whimsical antidotes, right? He's just making up fanciful stories. So he's kind of goofy, right? And if you're talking hammock, you know, it's you're kind of silly, right? So there we go. Oh, I think we need to mute. So yeah, so that's kind of what I would do in something like this. And again, on this second take, we saw rocking it wildly, right? So we're going back and forth, right? So let them hear you going back and forth instead of just wee. That's not rocking wildly, right? So if you got to turn it down and go, whoa, whoa, wee, you know, if you got to do something like that, have fun with it. Just don't peak.
Yeah.
You know, go and just do something crazy. Because again, like the mosquito karate, that was kind of crazy. And that's what booked it. So,
wow.
I don't know, do we want to share the editing process of this?
Yeah, so on average, how many takes do you record for a client?
So it depends. It's all on what the direction of the client. So if they only want one, then that's all I send. So what I'll do is I'll do a couple of takes on my end and then pick my favorite one. And then sometimes I'll even email other voice actors and be like, hey, what did you think of this based on the specs? And they're like, no, so I did that to one voice actor, and she's my mentor. She's been doing this way longer than I have. She literally called me after I emailed it to her, and she goes, this is awful. And so we made the change, and it was a lot better. So sometimes getting out of your booth, getting out of your own head, and getting the help of others is tremendous in helping you book more work.
Yeah. So what are some common mistakes you see beginners make when they're recording themselves?
So for example, like if we look here, this is what we call a peak. So see how it's going above?
Yeah.
And the problem is when it goes above 0, you're losing all of this data. So there's nothing here for the engineers to work with. And when you listen to it, like, woo, see, it's distorted. And so that would have to be re-recorded. Yeah, that would have to be re-recorded. Please do not, under any circumstances, let that go or try to turn it down. Because, like, so if I go like this and I turn it down -2, you're still losing all of this information, even though it's within that. This thing here. Another problem I see is voice actors recording too quietly. So, like, what I'll see is I'll get an audition from a voice actor and it looks like this. And I said, I was like, nobody can hear that, right? So if you're going here, you see how this RMS wave here is only going up to here. If you want it to be touching the yellow, from time to time. If it brushes, when I say brush, I literally mean brushes the red, like this line or this line, that's okay every now and then. But the industry standard, at least here in the United States, is that you want to normalize at -3. Now, here's the problem with that. If, like we had over here, right, we were peaking here, if we do -3, it's going to make this peak or this distortion, that's going to be your loudest point. So now you got some of these that are super quiet. This one's super quiet. So this is, again, going to need to be re-recorded. So let's re-record this part, and then we'll edit it again. Okay, so we're going to turn this way down. Okay, so now we've got something to work with here. So then what I do, let me pull this over here, is I look at, okay, like, see how much louder this is compared to the surrounding audio? So this is going to be right? That doesn't need to be that loud. So what I do is I'll turn it down. Let's try 2, minus 2 dB. Okay, so in Twisted Wave, you'll see there's a amplify option here. So I do 2. I said, let me see. I think it'd go down a little bit more. Okay. Now let's listen to it again. Bug bites and mosquito. So there's no discernible difference in audio, right? So if I went like, if I did this, mosquito, right? That's a huge difference. We don't want that. So you want something for it to sound the same around all of the audio that's near it. Okay? Yeah. So kids, right? That doesn't need to be that loud. So we'll bring it down to, or if you live with kids, right? That sounds normal. Wee! Woo! Okay, again, that's kind of loud, so bring that down a little bit. Wee! Woo! No discernible difference. Great. Off ends May 31st. Call Active Pest Control. Okay, so now this is all extra audio that doesn't need to be in there. So what I do, silence it. Okay, and then I'll bring it here and delete that because you don't need all this extra stuff on the end. Then I'll go to the front, take all this extra, silence that, and I try to keep it around half a second, maybe 3/4 or half a second or 1/4 of a second, right? Because when you're thinking of casting directors, they're listening to hear sometimes 2, 3, 4, 500 auditions for one of these, right? So this one, I think, was they listened over to over 1,000 auditions. So when you're sitting here with 3 seconds of silence, they don't have time for that. They got to go. Okay. So I bring it to right about here. That's, let me see, what is this? That's going to be 0.1 second. That's 1/10 of a second. See, that's plenty of time, right? Another mistake that I see a lot of voice actors make is they'll go through here and they'll delete all of these tones, right? Don't do that because they can hear, especially if your audio is not great or your space is not great, it'll be like, and they can hear you silencing that. But here's another good thing of why you should leave the room tone in there is, let's say your mouth clicks just a little bit, or you have a weird noise that your mouth makes or your throat makes. Leave it in there. Because now with the advent of AI is so perfect that now it's easier to discern which is human and which is not, because all of our imperfections are in this audio, right? Now, if it's, I always tell my students, if it's glaring, like a burp or something, right? Or get rid of it. But little breaths, like these, see, it's not super loud, right? But if you did something like, that's crazy. That's super loud. So if it is a breath that's that loud, you can do one of two things. You can either delete it if it doesn't mess up your audio, or just turn it down. So you can do like something like -20 and bring it down here. Pest control. Now, if you breathe like that, re-record. So that's that. So another thing with your room tone is it doesn't matter if you have a $10,000 microphone. If your room doesn't sound good, it's going to reflect in the audio. So try to make sure that your room is as quiet as possible. If you have to unplug the refrigerator, unplug the refrigerator. If you have to turn off the air conditioning or the fan or something, turn it off. So like for me, it gets really hot in here, so I'll leave the door open, but when I'm recording, I'll make sure to close the door. With that to help with my audio. Now, another thing that I like to do, let's say there's a dog that just will not stop. As a matter of fact, true story, my next door neighbor has this super anxious dog and just barks 24/7. I don't know how this dog doesn't get tired. So a couple of things that I'll do is
24/7.
Yes, I'm like, I had to talk to the managers about it. But anyways, if it's something that has to be done right now and can't wait, what I'll do is there's a third-party app or a plugin called CVox. And so what this does is it helps with your ambient audio, right? Your room tone. And it turns it down, and I do this lightly if it has to be done. If it doesn't have to be done, I'll wait to re-record or something like that. And then it'll turn down everything else. But other than that, once I do here, the final thing is I'll normalize it. If I'm super clicky that day, I'll do a RX8 mouth declick. But again, very, very low. Do not put it up here. So I'll do between 2, 2.3, apply, and then it'll go through and start taking all the clicks out. Because, some days you're just more clicky than others. So after that's done, I don't really touch it anymore after that. I probably shouldn't have did this because now my computer's frozen. After that, double check to make sure that the file naming is correct, and then I send it off. And that is my process.
Awesome. So are we done with the editing now? I want us to talk.
Yeah.
A little more about the editing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me hold on. I might need to quit this because my DAW is freezing up on me for some reason. So let's talk about editing. Then I will reopen it.
So what does the editing workflow look like from start to finish? We already know that you use a twisted wave, right? A twisted wave for that. And how do you clean up your audio and make it sound professional?
By leaving out all the bad stuff before I record. So again, that's going back to, turning off the TV, turning off the radio, turning the fans off. If there's any outside noise that you can control, turn it off. Because the more that you can get rid of that audio that's affecting your sound, the less you have to mess with it. And the less you mess with it, the happier the engineer is. But again, like I said, if we have certain issues, I'll wait to record. Like if I got a dog out there barking, or if I have this truck backing up and it's making this loud beep, beep, beep sound. And let's say, for example, you're out, right? And your agent or client or somebody says, we need this recording right now. I'll go into my car and bring my mobile gear with me and record in my car in the back seat, because that's another great booth to have if you're on the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, the least amount that you can mess with, the better. So let me go back in here and I'll share my screen again. So this was something I did earlier today. But as you can see, all these peaks here sitting at -3.
The same.
So I'll highlight everything, normalize it to -3. Again, these are kind of whispers, so you don't want those to be too loud. And that's pretty much it. I make sure that there's no clicks in here if the breath is super loud.
The same second.
Right, the breath isn't distracting. Clip off the ends, making sure that the spelling, the capitalization, everything is correct in the naming. That's part of the editing process. So what I always tell my students is copy and paste what the agent or the client gave you. And then you can change your name. And make sure and double check, because sometimes I know here with my agents, if your labeling is wrong, then they won't even hear your audition. So always double check that. But like I said before, the least amount you can edit, the better.
So you said if the label is wrong, click over that again.
Yeah, so if you see here, it says bookstore space capital V capital O _ and then my name. Anytime I see a labeling directions in the email, I will literally copy it and paste it, and then when I go to save as, it'll be, usually it's like this. It'll say like, something like that, right?
Okay.
But here's the thing to be very careful of. If it says voice talent, 2 words, and they're together, and it's capitalized, they want it to look like this.
Okay.
But if it's name, then you can go like that, right? So follow the directions very carefully, because sometimes, like the other day, I had an agent that he says the agency name has to be lowercased. So usually I do like this, right? Or sometimes I'll go like this. But if I didn't follow those directions, they would not have listened to my audition. So following directions is the number one, gauge to say, okay, do I even want to work with this person? Can they follow directions?
Taking notes.
So let me see if I have an email I can show you guys without getting in trouble. Oops. Yeah, we'll look at the Aptiv email, right? Let me see here.
Guys, are you taking notes? I'm learning a lot today.
So let me take here's the thing. Please don't reach out to these people. Okay. All right. So this was the original email. Okay. This is what it looked like. It looked pretty crazy. This is from my agent. Always read this stuff. Here's the, right. So please label your files as Aptiv talent space name. And they even gave an example. So I just take this, copy and paste it, right? So then I go back into here, file, click save as, make sure it's MP3, unless they ask for a wave. I'll do that, and then that. So now you know, if I spell my name right, now you know that's exactly what they're looking for. Okay? So yeah. That's, again, part of the editing process. But like I said before, if you can edit it as little as possible and it still sounds good, sounds clean, then you can take it or you can send it. But like, so let's say, for example, like this, then you were gone, right? So this little thing right here, you hear that little click? So I get this little throat noise, but I'm going to leave that in there because, like, even these right here, these little click sounds, AI doesn't have those sounds. So now it's showing the human side of the recording. So just like, if it's like that, then you were gone. Nobody's going to really even notice it, but your brain will say, hey, that's a human recording and not an AI recording.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of my editing process. I don't really do much other than that. That's pretty much all I do.
Okay. So when the audio is done, how do you package and deliver your final file to the client? Let's do that again.
So that depends on their direction, right? So if we go back to this email, right here, let me see. Feel free to reach out. Let me see if there's any directions here. Let me see. I thought there was. Yeah, here we go. Please see details below and submit your MP3 to that email. Again, please do not reach out to these people. So that is your directions right there. But you see how small that is? You could easily miss that. Only submit. So like, for example, I'll do talent@talentagent.com or whatever subject line they want you to do. And then I'll say, hey, so-and-so, now make sure Is it one take that they only wanted? Is it two takes, right? So make sure you say, okay, here are my takes if they wanted two takes, right? If not, don't do it. And then I would just go into here, find the file name, making sure that it's correct, and then I would send it off. And it goes into the void that we all hate because we never get any information.
Exactly. Yeah. So from your experience, what do clients most expect in that final audio?
They want you to make sure that you read the words on the page, right?
Okay.
Just simple, did I miss a word? Did I substitute a word? Like even today, I put in a word that wasn't even in there. And I was like, oh, that's not right. So make sure you listen back. Now, if they want ad lib, sure, you can change up the script a little bit. But usually they want you to stick with the script. Now, sometimes if they give you a little leeway, you can put a, or hey, whatever. But try to stick to the script as closely as possible. So again, go back, make sure you didn't miss any words, make sure you didn't do any of that, make sure you say the client's name correctly. So what I like to use is a website called Youglish, and I'll put it in the chat. Youglish.com. And so what you can do is, let's say there's a word, a medicine that you've never heard of before, or a word like eccentric, and you're like, how do I even say that? Because I have a problem with it. So you put it into Youglish. So like, actually, can I show you that real quick? So let's do this. So we'll go into here. So this is what it looks like. And let's just say we don't know how to pronounce this word. So you put it in there. They give you a bunch of different pronunciations for it, right? So we're just looking for the United States, and then click Say It. And so now
it's a bit of a pronunciation rule that.
Right. So there's that. So you can hear it. You can go to the next video.
How important is pronunciation in language learning?
So you can get different views of how different people say it, and then put it together so you're saying it correctly. So Youglish is huge. It's very, very helpful because people are actually saying the word in the video.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's touch the business side. How do you price your work? How do you determine your rates?
Yeah, so it depends on where it's happening. So here in the United States, I use the GVAA rate guide, which is super helpful here because a lot of times if you're not getting it through an agent, you're like, well, how am I supposed to rate this, right? What it is, what is it? But if you're not in the United States, I'll put, let me put it here in the chat. Gravy for the Brain is another great rate guide for rates outside of the United States. So let's say, for example, for us, right, we're talking about Ghana, but let's say your client is in Australia, right? So when you go to Gravy for the Brain, there's that link there. It'll give you a drop-down menu, and you can select which country you want to look at. So, for example, if you select Australia, and then it gives you a bunch of different options on which genre you want to do. So let's say you're doing e-learning in Australia, and you're going to price it at per finished minute. So you select that, and then you click search, and then it gives you the rates of typical lower, typical average, and then typical upper, and then you can price it based on that.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, so it's super, super helpful if you have no clue. And you can also ask other voice actors. I know Gravy for the Brain has an Africa branch. Talk to them, right? Because they are way more versed than somebody, say, here in the United States or somewhere else. So if you're looking specifically for those rates, Gravy for the Brain, contact them. They are very helpful. Or look at their rate guide.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to us, African voiceover artists, trying to enter the global market?
Do your research, right? Go to, the big talent agencies here and listen to what's on their roster. Listen to their demos, right? Not for accent, but how they're delivering. Because I know in certain places around the world, their delivery is different, right? So if you go to the UK, they have more of an announcery, whereas here in the United States, it's more conversational, laid back. It may be different somewhere else, right? So if you want to, have work here in the United States, or if you want to have work in Australia or wherever, go to those countries' talent agencies and listen to the talents that are already on their roster, because those are the ones that are going to be booking, and those are the ones that they kind of want to hear. Like, this is the style that they want. That's why they're on their roster.
Yeah.
So I know for here in the United States, if you want a lot of talent agencies to look up, VORG, Voiceover Resource Guide, is another really helpful thing to look at. I'll put that in the chat.
Voiceover Resource Guide.
Yep. So here, I'll put it in the chat here. But again, this is all just for the United States, for LA, New York, Chicago, and then some regional areas here within the United States.
Okay. So what opportunities do you see in the voiceover space right now?
Yeah, so what I'm starting to see is people are not liking AI as much as they thought they would.
Yes.
So, yes, if you're on like the Fivers of the world and you're only charging $2 for a commercial or something, yes, you will lose work to AI. But if you're doing national commercials, those kinds of things, they don't want AI anymore. They want the people. And actually, I've heard from many a client, and especially mine, that they said, we originally started out with an AI voice and it sounded terrible. We want a human. And so they'll go back to people. So
that's good news.
Yeah. It's great for us because people don't like it anymore. People are getting sick and tired of hearing the same 4 or 5 voices over and over again because you hear it on social media all the time.
Yeah.
So that is a big one. A lot of people are missing out on the smaller, like especially corporate narration. It's not a niche that's going to make you famous. It's not going to get you known anywhere, but you're going to make the money, right? Because people in businesses always need a voice. They've got training videos. They've got website videos. They've got all kinds of things that they need. So reaching out to those corporate people that make those videos, freelance video editors, right? They always are looking for voice actors. Even audio engineers will sometimes have rosters of talent that they know. So yes, commercial is going to be a big thing, but make sure you do not miss out on some of the smaller projects that you probably won't ever get seen. Like, for example, phone systems, what we call IVR. And so, I do those all day, every day. Thank you for calling. Press 1 for... It's boring and it's not fun, but it pays the bills. So don't miss out on that. So I've seen recently a big push towards, getting the smaller work. And it doesn't pay as much as commercial, but there's a lot of it.
Yeah. So I'm opening the floor to questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, you have any questions for Nathan?
I don't bite too hard. Hey, how's it going? Doing well. I'm having a tough time hearing your audio.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a little bit more clear.
Right. So I'm asking, how do you deal with from clients?
Say that one more time. How do I deal with what?
Pressure.
Pressure?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, what kind of pressure? Like, hurry up, we needed this yesterday?
Exactly. Like we need that as soon as possible. But like I need to take words that is pressure because I like to go over this as many times as I can, just to get my pronunciations right. No. So I actually find people taking words like, oh, we need this system, like we needed this as soon as possible, this space, and they want you to do it's like 15 minutes or 10 minutes. How do you deal with it?
Okay, I had a tough time hearing your question, but if I hope I'm answering it. So if I'm not, let me know. First thing is if you're working with a client that you normally work with, make sure to set expectations. So what I mean is, if you can deliver in 24 hours, deliver in 24 hours. If you need a week, tell them a week. Like, for example, some of my longer projects, like e-learning, I'll look at it and say, okay, I can get this to you in a week. But I already know in my head that I can deliver it to them in 3 days. But I don't tell them that. So always under promise, over deliver. So again, if you know it's going to take you can deliver it tomorrow, tell them you can deliver it in 3 days. So now, or 2 days. So now they're like, wow, this guy's quick, man, I love this. And now they're happy, their client's happy, and everything's good.
Yeah.
Or let's say you've got a client that just emailed you. And it's like, hey, we need this right now. And you're like, I'm so sorry, I'm not in my booth right now. Can I deliver it in 5 hours? Can I get it to you by 4 p.m.? Most of the time, like, yeah, sure, it just needs to be quick. We need you to hurry. Or let's say you're on vacation, right? I always tell all my clients that I work with, hey, I'm going on vacation. If it's urgent and you have to have it, let me know. If not, I'll get it when I come back. So always setting those expectations ahead of time will prevent anybody from pressuring you even more. But you're going to get those clients that say, hey, we need it now. Can you wait till 4? No. Well, then, sorry, I can't do it. If they really, really want you, they'll wait. But if they can't do it, then they'll go find somebody else. Like that happened to me a couple days ago where they wanted me to record at 10 a.m. UK time, but here in the US, that would have been 4 a.m. I'm like, I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. to do a small job. I was like, hey, can we move it to 1 p.m.? My time? And they're like, no, sorry, it has to be that time. And I'm like, okay, well then I'm out. Now if it was like a $20 or $30 or $40,000 job, sure, I would do it. But if it's like $50, no, I'm not getting out of bed at 4 a.m. for $50.
Yeah.
So you have to know what's good for you. If you're like, heck yeah, I'll take $50, then do it. But if not, pass on. Because if you set that precedent, then the client will know, hey, he'll get up at any time for any kind of money.
Exactly. Yeah.
I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it does.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other question? Okay, Win.
Yes. So,
Hey, Win.
my question is like to get into the industry, most times people advise to get agents. But for those who don't have agents, how would you advise to get people to know their voice and get work?
So, at least the consensus here in the United States is that you should not be relying on your agents 100%. So the way I do it is 60% of my work that I found, and then 30 to 40% are through my agents. Because if you think about it, what if your agent just collapses and they're out of business? That's a lot of auditions gone, right? And that actually happened here with a huge agent. They went under because of bad business practices, and now, those talent were up the creek without a paddle. So what I always recommend is, yes, it's good to have agents. You don't have to have agents, but it's good to have them. But make sure you have your core group of clients that you can reach out to, or they're coming back to you, that are not through your agents. Because if all your agents go bye-bye, you'll still have 60% of work. So always constantly be emailing producers or whoever works with voice actors in your area. Constantly be emailing all the time and make sure to follow up. Because one email is not going to be good enough. 2 emails are not going to be good enough. Sometimes 5, 6, 7, 8 emails will be enough. So make sure you have your list of people and email them. That's a whole nother Zoom call right there, but you don't have to have agents to succeed in this business. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? And feel free, if you think of questions later, you can follow me on my Instagram. It's nathannokes.vo. If you have any other questions, you can email me, nathan@nathannokesvo.com. Put it in the chat there. And shoot me some questions if you have anything, or if you need some help, let me know. And I can help you out.
Any more questions? Kweku, I see you. Robbie, I see you. Emmanuel, I see you. Let me put you guys on the spot.
All right. Hi, Nathan.
Hey, Robbie, how's it going?
So good, man. This has been an amazing session with you. So first of all, I want to say thank you.
Well, thanks
It's
for
really been
having
an
me.
amazing session. I'm going to connect with you on Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think I just have one question. I'm in that phase where I'm trying to get more work. All right.
That's all.
I'm Nigerian. Yeah. So I'm Nigerian. Prince is my good friend. And when he brought this up, I was like, whoa. So my question would be, first, do they have agencies over there in the US that are looking for African talent?
There was one, and I can't remember the name of it now. They had a very small list, but that's what if that's what you're trying to look for, the Vorg that I put in the chat, that also can help. So you can look to see, okay, do they even have other African voice other African voice actors? And look at those regional listings. Here within the United States. Now, sometimes do you live in Nigeria currently?
Yes. I'm Nigerian. I live in Nigeria.
Okay, so sometimes they would love to have you, but because you don't live in the United States, then they got to deal with taxes and visas and all of that kind of stuff. So sometimes they don't want to do that. So they won't bring you on. But another thing that you can look at is voiceover rosters, and you could be anywhere in the world. And I've seen rosters that have African, Indian, Jamaican, U.S., British, all kinds. And if you have a specific dialect, then that you can speak other than English, obviously, then that would help you even more on those rosters.
Okay. Fantastic.
So Google's going to be your best friend.
Yeah, Google and all them search engines.
Yeah. ChatGPT and Google Gemini are also very helpful, and they can narrow your search. Instead of just, throwing your search to the wind.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good one. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no
I'll hit you up on Instagram.
Perfect.
Okay.
Any more questions? We're getting a little echoes today. I don't know where it's coming from. Kweku.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm in two meetings, so my attention is divided.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just wanted to find out what editing software you use. I'm not sure I saw that.
So I use a system called Twisted Wave. I'll put it in the
Twisted
chat here.
Wave. Okay, never
Yeah,
heard
so
that.
Twisted Wave, it's like I said, it's the Toyota Corolla. You know, if you need something that works well, that doesn't have a whole lot of bells and whistles, it's not really expensive. I think you can buy it outright for 80 US dollars and be done with it. Now, they'll have updates and you do have to subscribe, do a subscription for the updates, but I don't really even do that unless it's some major update. Then I'll start looking if I'm going to buy a subscription, but you don't even really need to. And it works great. I mean, you can, if you have Isotope RX, that's another great thing that'll integrate with Twisted Wave. So yeah, works great for me.
Okay. Do you typically do what they call mastering? Like, do you do anything to the audio before you send to the clients?
No, I do as little as possible because the audio engineer is going to be doing all the mastering. So if you do mastering, then they can't fix if you make a mistake or if it's too compressed or whatever. Then they can't fix that. So
Okay.
if unless you're an audio engineer and that's what you do for a living, I wouldn't touch the audio other than just, like I said, normalizing it like we talked about before, maybe turning down a breath or two, but that's pretty much it, is sending it as raw as possible, but still making sure that it sounds broadcast quality.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem.
I guess that's it. I guess that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much, Nathan. Thank you for
Yeah,
making the
thanks for
time.
having
We've
me.
learned a lot from you. Yeah.
I'm glad to help. Thanks for your questions and putting up with all of my editing stuff.
Very important. And I'll also like to have you on the podcast, on our podcast. We'll talk about that later, so that we talk more about your journey and the voice of our industry.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, guys, thank you. This has been Live Behind the Scene with Nathan Nokes. We've learned a lot today, guys. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And we'll catch you on the next one. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Prince. Thank you, Nathan.
Thanks, guys. Much appreciated.
And sorry for